Everybody, it's Coach Rob. Welcome back to another Coach's Log. As you can see here, I'm out in the great outdoors. Sorry about the possibility of a shaky camera here. I'm working on that. Today I want to talk to you guys and gals about something that's been plaguing a couple of my athletes. And actually, it's plagued many athletes over the years, and that is a common overuse injury. Now, sometimes this particular case isn't always about overuse. Sometimes it's about leg length imbalances, other imbalances in the body, and we'll get to that. But before I jump into this topic, I want to remind everybody, I am not a doctor. I don't possess any sort of medical license. I am a coach, and my athletes look to me for various advice and topics to make sure that they're getting the most out of their training. And as an athlete, I've run up against this. I think many of us have. And today's topic is called, it's all about plantar fasciitis. So if you're not familiar with what plantar fasciitis is, it is some inflammation that comes from potentially torn muscles in the fascia. And if you take a look at this little diagram, let's see right there, you're going to see that the fascia is that space between the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot. Now, quite often people will describe the pain as shooting or soreness or extreme tightness in the heel, but it actually is in that space between the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot. Now, what causes this? There are a myriad of things that will cause it. But I find traditionally in cyclists, it's not as common, but it does happen from time to time, as well as a lot in runners and multi-sport athletes. If you are prone to it, there are a number of things that you need to stop doing right now. You need to stop walking around barefoot. That is probably one of the biggest aggravators of this. So, even if you're in the house, you might be wearing a sleeve on the affected foot or both feet, to put compression on the area, which is a great idea in most cases. And but if you're doing this, you're going to have to start wearing shoes with some support. So the other thing is to remember, a lot of us are not taking advantage of custom insoles, whether it's for cycling or for running. Now, some people will think that, oh, well, you're telling me that I have to buy an insole because it's going to make my shoes stiffer, or going to make me faster and more powerful. No, it's about support 9 times out of 10. If you've never taken the time to go to a running store and actually get your feet scanned, your gait analyzed, and talk with an actual running professional. I'm not talking about going to the big box store where some, sales clerk is pointing at this and that. I'm talking about going to a legitimate running store. Even if you're a cyclist, you might be surprised that you can pick up quite a bit of knowledge. Some bike fitters will go so far as to help you with custom insoles, but they're few and far between. Most of them are going to sit there and talk to you about joint angles and extensions, things like that. You're not going to get nearly as much input on what goes into the foot. So here's the other thing too that I like to do as a rundown. If you are having this sort of problem and you've been having it for weeks, months, maybe an entire season or more, stop what you're doing and seek medical professional help. This is what I tell all my athletes. If you have been doing that and those folks are not living up to your expectations, that you're not getting better, guess what? It is now time to go seek the opinion of a new medical professional. The other thing that I like to point out when you are trying to add to your support team of medical professionals, no matter what they are, it could be a nutritionist, it could be a psychologist, it could be a sports psychologist, sports medicine doctor, chiropractor, any of those things that many of us are accustomed to utilizing the services of, I want to remind you to start working with somebody that has a background in sports or athletes. It's really, really hard to find that, whether it's your cow in the background, whether it is your just general medicine practice or a chiropractor. Not all doctors are created equal. If you've got a specific problem that's related to a sports-related injury, actually more often than not, I will have you start with a sports medicine doctor. Now, that doctor may or may not have ever been involved in sports, but trust me, they've worked with a myriad of athletes over their careers, and they're going to be able to walk you through a number of things. Also, if you start dealing with foot problems, why are you necessarily starting at the running store? You probably need to see a podiatrist, specifically one that can create orthotics, has worked with athletes, and has other skill sets. They may actually be surgeons. And if you start getting diagnostics from these people that require things like surgery, my strong inkling is to say, okay, thank you, and then go seek a second opinion or even a third opinion. I'm not telling you to go shop for a better answer. I'm telling you to get a consensus. You're going to have to flip the bill or pay for it. And you also need to be comfortable with the decisions that are coming from your doctors. So that's why I like to look for more than one. So let's talk again about the plantar fasciitis challenge. So if you've been through all this, or maybe it's brand new to you, here are some tips that have gotten me through it, because it has gotten me several times. Sometimes plantar fasciitis is something that you can get over in just a handful of days. I do find that masters level athletes can usually take weeks to get through this, and sometimes an entire season, unfortunately. I got very lucky a couple years ago and managed to get through it in just a handful of weeks. I've had some athletes go through it and get through it in just 4 days. So here are the suggestions that I always give. Stop what you're doing immediately, especially those things that you think are aggravating it. Running is done. Any explosive lifting, jumping, plyometrics, they're finished until you can return to normal. And normal means that there's no more pain when you wake, because that's when plantar fasciitis hits you the worst, is when you first get up and sometimes just before you go to bed. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to ice massage. You just a frozen Dixie cup full of water, you peel back the edge, and you just gently roll the ice over the surface. You might want to wet your foot and the ice first before you do that. Then you could also use a device that looks like a dumbbell with little dots or little spikes all over it, and it's got a fluid in it that you freeze. You put that little dumbbell on the ground and you can roll your foot over that, and gently, no pressure on this. The other thing too that you can look at is a splint. There are lots and lots of what they call night splints for plantar fasciitis, and quite simply what it does is it puts your toes in a position where it stretches them towards you, and not straight up, but just towards you. It's not comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. I never could wear one all night long. I would go to bed with one while I was watching the news or something like that. And usually after about 30, 40 minutes, I could let that go, and man, could I feel the release. It was so nice. And that probably paid off more than many of these other tips early on. The other thing too that I've been known to do is tape my feet. I started doing that years ago as a rock climber. I used to tape my hands, of course, as well as a rock climber. So you learn how to do some taping. If you're not familiar with the practice of taping, it's very simple. There's a YouTube channel from KT Tape. They sell their own version of tape, and they have a number of physical therapists that work for them that will walk you through the process of taping your feet, your back, your hands, your shoulders for various reasons. Some of the taping procedures out at the KT Tape website include things for performance. I'm looking for things to either improve your inflammation issues, or to help support a problem, not improve performance necessarily. Those I actually find to be a bit dubious. The other thing too that I will do from time to time is I have a sleeve. It's not a full sock, it just goes over the ankle, the heel, and it doesn't cover the toes. It's high compression. I may wear that to bed. So I'll probably wear that in the house inside a tennis shoe with a custom insole that fits that foot very, very well. And wife's not happy about me wearing the tennis shoes in the house, so instead of a pair that I would actually be outside running in, I'm wearing a pair that would just be for indoor use only. Or I'm using them only in a certain part of the house where there's no carpet. That keeps me out of trouble. Other things too that I would point out, if you're finding that you have to use NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, naproxen, if you're having to use those every day to get through your life, something's wrong. It's time to do something about it. Okay, this was just a very, very, very short introduction on how to take care of some of this. I may revisit this in a very near video, but I just wanted to get one of these out and see what you guys think. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your training week. And if you're having a problem with plantar fasciitis, I really do hope that you get some assistance and that you get through it quickly, because I understand it's no fun. All right, everybody, bye-bye.